Hey everyone, Don with Breja ToneWorks again. Thanks for watching. Today's video is all about potentiometers and the shafts on them, the holes that are in your guitars, and how do you enlarge them if you have a certain type of guitar that you want to put different pots in and the holes are the wrong size. Now, most import guitars, or those coming from overseas, will use smaller shaft pots, and therefore the corresponding holes in your guitar are going to be smaller. Typically, these tend to be around 5/16 of an inch. Now, if you want to upgrade those pots to something like a CTS pot or a full-fledged Gibson or Fender pot, those tend to require a larger hole. So what we're going to talk about today is actually how we can go about enlarging the holes in your guitar without really damaging the finish or kind of splintering or breaking off some of the pieces around the hole itself. Now, despite the fact that there's a lot of manufacturers of potentiometers, the two most popular are Alpha and CTS brands. The Alpha tend to be the ones, like I said, come with your Epiphones and some of your more medium to lower end range guitars. CTS, a little bit higher end guitars. They're also similar brands for like Gibson or some of the higher end Fenders tend to use CTS-esque type of pots. The Alpha pots are going to use roughly around a 5/16 hole in order for them to slide through, whereas the CTS pots are going to use around a 3/8 of an inch hole. Now, playing Captain Obvious, a 5/16 hole is obviously smaller than a 3/8. So what we're going to need to do is to enlarge that hole for the new pot to fit through. And there are a variety of ways that guys have come up with in order to enlarge those holes. Some would be using a Dremel tool. Others would be using a drill or a step drill to increase that. But each of those, while they can work if you take your time and are very, very patient, they can, if you don't do it correctly, will ruin the finish and break little pieces off around the hole. Makes it very difficult to fix or looks just basically like crap. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you my way of enlarging the holes in a guitar. It's safe. It's not going to ruin the finish again on your guitar as long as you do a little bit of prep work. It's pretty easy and it doesn't take you a long time. Now what I do is I use a file in order to enlarge that hole, but I need to be careful so I don't create like an oval shape or something like that, or obviously take too much off in one area. So what I need to do is create a little tiny template for my file. And I'm going to do that by simply taking the flat washer that came with the pot itself. I'm going to use it. That is the diameter anyways of the hole I need, so I might as well use it. So I'm going to take some painter's tape, get the washer on there, and then I'm going to cut out the washer on the tape. So basically I'm going to use this. And the reason I'm doing this is so that when I put the washer on the guitar, the tape is going to be there so it protects the finish. Now there are a couple other ways you can do this. You can obviously just tape up the guitar and then tape up the washer to it, something like that. What this allows me to do is actually look down the shaft or the hole of the washer so that I'm aligning it correctly. I can set it on top of there, and then you're going to see in a second we're going to go and actually tape that washer to the guitar. So you can see I've got a washer, it's got the tape on one side. Again, the reason for that is I can put that washer directly over the hole, line it up so I'm not creating an oblong kind of shape or trying to guess, and the tape is going to protect the finish. I hold it down, I'm going to use some additional painter's tape and just start taping that washer around the hole itself until I've got a nice solid piece there. That hole is going to be what I'm going to run my file through, and in order to prevent myself from, again, filing too much in any one direction, I'm going to be using a standard round bastard file, and I'm going to be doing short strokes. I'm not going to be taking long, hard strokes. I'm just taking off a little bit of wood, a little bit at a time. Just keep going around, and once I begin to hear that I'm hitting the metal on the washer, obviously there's a difference in the sound from the wood to the washer. I know I'm getting close, and I can begin test fitting the pot to see if it fits in there. Some guys, they may go with a slightly larger washer to give themselves additional clearance. I tend to use the ones that come with the pot. Again, short strokes. This method is going to prevent you from splintering or breaking off flaking off parts of the finish right around the hole. You can see right now that pot fits. The really cool thing is you can just take this off from one hole and move it to the next using the same template, same technique, and you can get all 4 holes done in very quick order. Now, one last thing to talk about: if you replace your pot, you may have to replace the knobs. There are 2 different types of spline count for the pots out there. The alpha pots tend to have the coarse splines, which means that there are 8 per side, and you typically use knobs that have 18 spline holes on the inside of them. A CTS pot is different. It's going to have 10 splines per side on the pot itself, and therefore you use a 24 spline knob. You can't interchange those two. If you do, you're going to, in essence, break the pot or make it so that it's nearly impossible to get off, or you're going to strip it out. So there you go, a very simple and effective way to enlarge the shaft holes in your guitar. If you have something like an Epiphone or some of the other Ibanez type guitars where they have the smaller pots, you want to replace them with a full-size CTS pots. This was the easiest way that I have found in order to do this, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. I really appreciate you watching. If you do have any questions, please let me know. You can email me at brejatoneworks@gmail.com. And remember, tone, it's not just a knob, it's sound advice. Thanks.